he wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. It was like, what the fuck is this nigga doing?
Right.
Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired. Oh, you tired?
Yeah. Okay.
I thought I came to a boxing match. I didn't know you was tired.
I have wrestled with an alligator. I done tussled with a whale. I done handcuffed lightning, stole thunder in jail. That's bad. Only last week, I murdered a rock.
I love you.
Angela Stone hospitalized a brick. That's bad. So me, I make medicine sick. Fast. Last night I cut the light off in the bedroom, hit the switches in the bed before the room was dark. All you chumps are gonna bow when I whip him. All of you, I know you got him. I know you got him fixed. But the man's in trouble. I'm gonna show you how great I am.
When I was a casual, I thought as a casual, I spoke like a casual, and I looked at boxing like a casual. But when I became a hardcore, I put away all those casual things. This is Michael Rogers, and welcome to Bodywork Boxing.
Get close to him and just keep moving. When I say pay attention,
Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. I want to dedicate this episode to one Gervonta Tank Davis, Baltimore's finest. I call him Tank Sinatra. And in my book, he's one of the best out there doing it right now. He has an upcoming fight on May 28th against one Romero. Coach Calvin, he's always saying that this is really just unfinished business. And before I get started, I just want to lay some background. It was a point in time when Romero was going to fight one Devin Haney. A lot of people wanted to see that fight. But I often say it was a reason why nobody really wanted to see Tank versus Rolly, but they actually wanted to see Rolly versus Devin. So in a consolidation effort of all the belts, WBA, they came up with their rules because they were trying to basically get rid of a lot of these secondary belts. It came down the line that Rolly Romero, since he had one of them secondary belts, Tank had one of them secondary belts, that they had to fight. Fight get pushed back, it get delayed, it gets called off ultimately, and Isaac Cruz jumps on the scene. Tank did not knock out Isaac Cruz, and he took a lot of criticism. And that's one thing that a lot of these boxers who get labeled as knockout artists, have to be concerned about sometimes, because they, the people get so used to you just disposing of your opponents that when it goes the distance, that's all the leeway they need to actually discredit you. Here recently, we just saw over the past weekend where Shakur Stevenson handled one Oscar Valdez, like handily. And we getting a lot of, I was disappointed, Shakur should have did this. I mean, you can put on a masterclass boxing clinic and still not really garner the praise that you deserve from the people. That's why I resonate with these fighters, and I say get your money, keep doing your thing. And I have to salute Tank. When you look at the evolution and the growth of Tank, and you hear him in these interviews, you hear the mindset. If you tune in the Rise podcast, that's where you get straight from the horse's mouth, straight from Coach Calvin and Coach Kenny, who are a team, and Senior Cobbs, Coach Squeeze. They give you the real deal. A lot of these other channels, because of clicks, likes, and views, they always kind of give backhanded compliments to Tank. They discredit him. And here recently, Tank actually made headlines because he was a guest on Gilly's $1 million worth of game. And what happened was, one of the biggest channels on YouTube took a clip, which I think is so irresponsible. It's so irresponsible to listen to an hour-long interview and take a minute-long clip and use it to paint a narrative. And then one of the biggest black, quote-unquote, black channels did some, ironically, when they always calling people monkeys, did some monkey see, monkey do type shit and catered to their audience with this clip. And what this clip was, it was Gilly asking Tank, how many times you went up in the office and said, look, I want this guy, I want this guy. And being consistent with Tank says, when they asked him, who do you want next? He was like, you know, who's out there? Tank said, he said, to be honest, I never spoke of the names. Oh, and they went hysterical. They went ham. And then they use hour-long shows, hour-and-a-half-long shows to just berate Tank and say, see, it wasn't all about Floyd. It wasn't this and this and that. So really, when Tank actually gave them $1 million worth of game, they turned around and turned into $1 million worth of lame. If you are the bag, if you are the big name, a la Floyd Mayweather at the time, you don't go around saying names. You are the name. And Tank right now, he's finishing out a contract in which he really doesn't have the bull by the horns in a sense, because he's completing a contract. Sure, he probably has some influence. Sure, he can probably sway it or side or counter or whatever, but he was doing what he was supposed to do and following the tutelage and the promotion of Floyd Mayweather, business-wise and arguably inside the ring, the best to ever do it. He also turned right back around on I Am Athlete and gave a wonderful interview with Chad Ochocinco and Brandon Marshall. And you can actually see the evolution of Tank. You can see the maturation of Tank. When you look at Tank in between fights, his weight used to, balloon up. Now, and if you look at him now and you start looking at his last 3 fights, I would say going from his last 3 fights, looking at Tank, you can see how focused he is, how he's actually taken it upon himself to not balloon up in weight, to stay in training camp. He's been keeping his nose clean. He's been doing everything that's asked. He has become the attraction that one Leonard Ellaby has always been talking about. He's having, he had another little girl. He's enjoying being the father. He's overcome odds. And whenever content gets low, people talk about Tank Sinatra. They're attaching their names to him. Oh, I think such and such can beat this. That same big black channel, supposed to be black oriented, black supported, black driven. Always talking about Demolition Man and how they not this and this and that. They say that Tank ain't the champion of shit. Every time his name being brought up. Every single time. Anyways, he got a fight against Rolly Romero. It's a lot of hoopla about how this is a mismatch. Coach Calvin goes on the Rise podcast. He continues to reiterate that this is strictly about business. It was an investment that Showtime actually put into Rolly, leading up to the build-up of the fight that they were supposed to have back in December. And when Rolly's legal allegations were up at bat, they went ahead and moved forward with Isaac Cruz. Yet they had already invested a lot of money in the promotion of the fight. So this is just basically to end out the contract with TMT. It's also to capitalize on all the investments that they actually put into building the fight with Rolly Romero. So that's where we stand. And as fans, that's all we can really do. We can voice our opinions about who we want to see these fighters fight. But really, at the end of the day, we just need to support the boxers that we rock with. You know, if you don't rock with a boxer, you don't support. But leading up into this fight, people are saying, oh, Rolly's going to knock Tank out. You know, Tank's going to get exposed. You know, it's a lot of narratives out there. There's narratives about how Rolly is not being focused right now. There are a lot of outliers for why Rolly's going to lose already being put out there in regards to him, you know, doing videos looking like he's under the influence of something. You know, the way his coaches is talking. And I think at first they were doing a good job at trying not to get Tank riled up, because an angry Tank is a dangerous Tank. An angry yet focused Tank is damn near impossible to beat him. I'm gonna be the first one to say it. And what I really think they're trying to do is they're trying to actually embody and embrace this whole Vernon Forrest versus Mayorga type vibe, in which Rolly is actually trying to invoke that character of Mayorga and being, you know, unorthodox, you know, good power, you know, how he was able to actually upset Vernon Forrest in their fights. And that was his claim to fame, a guy that would smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol, you know, say what he want, real brash, unorthodox. And I think that's the game plan for Rolly. This is my first video. I'll probably do another one probably the week of the fight, or maybe after the weigh-in, after I get a little bit more details. But the way I see this going is Rolly's best shot, I mean, I'm gonna shock a lot of people, Rolly's best shot is to actually try to box Tank. It sounds crazy to me. It sounds crazy because everybody that really knows Tank and knows boxing knows that Tank is a supreme boxer. He's not just a power puncher. He has speed, he has agility, he has defense. I don't think people pay attention, but that pull counter that Floyd Mayweather was able to do a lot of times in his fights, Tank Davis actually has mastered that. He doesn't come back with that, he doesn't come back with that jab the way Floyd used to. He come from underneath with it when he does it, but he's so fluid and it's so quick that people don't even really recognize what they're seeing when they're seeing it. However, I think Rolly's best shot is to try to box with Tank. I think it's for him to try to move his feet. I think it's for him to try to create angles, and when he feel like Tank is tired, or if Tank, you know, gets the punching and, you know, he gets inebriated, then he should try to pounce on Tank. I think that would be the best one. But if he comes in there, he rushes in and he tries to do what Teofimo Lopez did to George Kambosos when he just ran out there and was really just trying to like swing for the fences and put mustard on everything out there, he's gonna get put to sleep. He's gonna get put to sleep in brutal fashion. It's gonna be real ugly. He might get his neck broke. I'm just gonna be honest. And if he fights dirty, he hits behind the head, he does anything out of the ordinary other than just straight up boxing and keeping it clean, he's going to infuriate Tank and it's going to be over. It's going to be a very, very early night. It's going to be a very early night. That's just my initial take on it. I think that Tank has too many tools in the toolbox. Initially, it wasn't a fight I was really excited for. Now I'm just excited to see the man go for it, continue to keep his nose clean. And I like the fact that there are grumblings that there are going to be the bigger, better fights. What I believe, because it was a notion that Tank wanted Lomachenko next. The camp was saying it, Tank was saying it, Loma got caught up in the war. What I believe, in my heart of hearts, is for Tank Davis to go ahead and fight Josh Taylor next. I believe with Josh Taylor coming off the performance against Jack Catterall, in which he really lost, and him trying to actually show and prove again that he really is that guy at 140, I think that right now would be the opportunity for Tank to actually get a hold of Josh Taylor before somebody else gets a hold of Josh Taylor and gets credit for the victory, just like Tank when the Lomachenko fight didn't come up and Tio actually was able to get a part of Lomachenko and actually make him suffer his second defeat. That's my take on it. If you want to hear the real deal on Tank and what's going on, follow the Rise podcast. I can't say it enough. Those guys are a treasure trove of jewels. They talk boxing. They don't just stick to Tank. They do have to keep some things close to the vest, but that's the best source. Don't listen to a lot of these other guys when they talking about Tank, because it's really all clicks, likes, views. And it's a lot of like backhanded compliments and hatred towards the young man. However, I appreciate the growth. I see where he's going. I see the maturation of him. And I think that this fight is going to be a sneaky good fight. I'll leave you with this. The last time Tank really took off in the Barclays Center was against Pedraza for the title, and he almost knocked Pedraza's head off. I think you can see something similar to that. The more aggressive and crazy that Rolly get, I think the earlier the night gets. I think that his best bet is to try to survive, a la Mikey Garcia against the Earl Spence. Otherwise, he's going to sleep. That's my take on it. Remember, this is Bodywork Boxing. We feed the clones. We don't take things for face value. We do that body.
All right, I believe you, but my Tommy gun don't. Get down on your knees and tell me you love me.
My word, and I do what I do. He knows what I'm about to tell him right now. It's Mr. Keep running your mouth. That's what I do.
I just feel like I'm the champ, and at the end of the day, I'm just a fighting motherfucker. It doesn't matter. Inside, outside, I can just fight. So I just feel like if you get down to the wire, and we gotta lock it up, I'm out on top.
Hey, look, as you can see how I'm looking, I stay solid. I'm always solid. I stay fuck solid up, man. You know what I'm saying? To the fans and all that.
You jump outside the ring in the fighter, like I said before, ain't no safety on the clock, so